All right, let's get into the top 30 visits then. So we're going to have a little look at who the Eagles have had so far in the top 30 visits and just pick a few out that we'd be delighted with, any we might be disappointed with, who we want to go see there. So yeah, let's go and do that now. So I don't know, Mick, if you can get that up on screen or not, but we'll go through some of these guys. Peter Skoronsky, Breeze. Actually, Mick, I'm going to let you go through this because you know the college players much better than I do. Why don't you ring this from the top 30 visits so far?
No, thank you very much. Just as I'm trying to scramble to get the.
All right. Alrighty. Well, I'll keep going through it then. We got the tackle / guard Peter Skoronsky. Someone I've been looking at so far in this offseason. I actually prefer Paris Johnson Jr. personally. At that position if the Eagles were going to pick. And I think with the Lane Johnson contract extension, I think it's maybe less likely they will now go and pick at 10 for an offensive tackle. But I think that could happen. Oh, there you go, Mick. I'll let you take it away. You've got it up.
Yeah, so I finally got to my PowerPoint. I tell you what, this live podcasting is difficult.
What is this, number 2?
Yes, it's number 2. We're veterans in the podcast game now, but not when it comes to live. So appreciate
that looks good, though. That looks good.
Listening. Yeah. A lot goes into these graphics. You know me, Liam. I'm always working away at my graphics in the background. But yeah, you're right. The top 30 visits we seem to have. I've tried to group them together by school as well. So, you know, the 3 players from Georgia, Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, Kelly Ringo, the 2 from LSU's Oyalari and Roy as well. A couple from Ohio State. We've got Jones and Johnson Jr., and then a smattering of other players looking probably towards either the 10th pick or the 30th pick in the draft, depending on how your draft board looks. But there's a lot of guys in there, and there's a lot of talent in there, and a lot of people will be very excited by the names on this board, particularly Bijan Robinson, and particularly Jalen Carter. Whether or not Howie decides to pull the trigger on a couple of these guys who, you know, definitely first round talent, top 10, top 15 talent, is anyone's guess on how it falls on the draft night. But these are guys who, you know, who could make a difference for the Eagles straight away. And that's the position that we are in. We're looking to get back to the Super Bowl again with Jalen Hurts. The offensive weapons that he's got, put Bijan Robinson in there, and who is going to stop the Eagles then? Similarly, you know, we lost Javon Hargrave to the 49ers in free agency. Bring in Jalen Carter, plug and play straight away. That is a guy who's going to fill the gap at the 3-tech defensive tackle and make a difference to our team immediately. So there's a lot of talent in there.
Yeah, I'm just looking at these names now and who I would be over the moon with the Eagles taking. And there's a few in there. Paris Johnson Jr., I've said it before in this podcast. Nolan Smith is the guy. I'm going to look at those 3 from Georgia. You're going to say you're mad to not take Jalen Carter. I've said before in this podcast, I'm still not entirely sold on the character side and whether the Eagles will buy into that. A lot of people saying they will. Looking at those 3 from Georgia, I'd go Smith, Carter, Ringo in that order. Skoronsky, I'd be happy with. I wouldn't be over the moon with at 10, but I'd be happy with. Broderick Martin, potentially Bijan Robinson. Sorry, yeah, not 10. I mean, I know Phil would love him at 10. So, Phil, do we see if your mic is back in the game yet? Your technology working? Well, it might be working, but now you're on mute. So let me unmute.
Can I chime in real quick? And I have a question about, you know, Ringo and Porter Jr. Are we expecting them to spend a first round pick on DB, considering that they have Slay and Bradbury over there right now? Or would you guys expect that to happen?
I don't think so, but a lot of people do. But I think it's more likely to Witherspoon or Gonzalez at 10 if they do, as opposed to Ringo or Porter Jr. perhaps at 30, if he does fall there. But Mick, you talked about this a bit as well.
Yeah, well, the interesting point is that whilst we've given a contract to James Bradbury, and he had a phenomenal season last year. I think he was all pro, wasn't he? Yeah, and Darius Slay again had a great season. He was extended, but these guys are, they're not on the right side of the age scale. We're probably going to need some new blood coming in behind them, especially if you look at the depth chart. It's not great reading after those two. So if we do lose a corner, we were very, very, very fortunate last year not to have many injuries across the roster. But if either one of those guys goes down, we're talking about Zach McPherson on the line. I'm not sure about that myself. I think we could use the help at corner. Yeah, that's what's so good about draft season, isn't it? You can make a case for pretty much any position at any point. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I say I don't personally see the Eagles doing it at cornerback. I think the most likely pickup for the Eagles at 10 is defensive line on the edge or in the interior defensive tackle position. Phil, have we got you?
Have you got me? That's the question. Have you got me?
Yes,
we
do.
I've not had any technology issues at all. I don't know what's been going on, but it's been absolute chaos. So apologies, everyone, but I think I'm here now. So,
excellent.
I don't see the Eagles picking at 10 at all. I just feel like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, between jumping up for Carter or someone like that and using pick 30. Or trading back and trying to pick up a player that we all really want, like Bijan Robinson, sort of in the mid-teens, early 20s, if we can really afford it. Pick up a second or a third here or there, make up some picks later on in the draft. That two guesses of which mock draft's going to be mine's going to look like, but yeah, I just don't see anything at 10, sort of unless sort of Carter for some reason falls to 10, in which case
unless someone falls, yeah. There's a couple that could fall. Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, it's interesting because Carter was supposed to fall with all of his issues in the offseason. And in the mocks I've done, he's going inside the top 10 every single time. Yeah. It's very upsetting because I'm expecting him to fall to me every single time I do an Eagles mock draft, and he's never there. I'm wondering what's happening.
No.
But yeah, it's there's another guy that I've been settling for, which I'm very happy with. I'll save for later. But okay. Yeah, it's just odd. I mean, I don't think nobody took the bait with Carter. They were just like, all right. It was like a little speed bump in the offseason, and he's right back to where he was. Maybe a little bit lower than where he was supposed to go. I think he was like projected to be like, top easy top 3, right? Yeah. But he's still going to get that perceived high draft capital.
Yeah. I mean, so looking at that board then, Z, if you take Jalen Carter out of the mix, take him out, leave everyone else in there, who's the one player on that top 30 visits who you say is going to be an absolute dog, stalwart, lock-in, or is there any?
Within the top 10?
Yeah, no. So the top 30 visits on the screen there, that the Eagles have had so far. If you take out Jalen Carter, of those people on the screen right now, you've obviously got Broderick Martin, you've got Bijan Robinson, you've got Paris Johnson Jr., Skoronski, Porter, Nolan Smith, Ojulari.
Liam, I'm with you. I like Paris Johnson a lot. At 130, I think that makes sense. Or Ojulari in day 2 of the draft. Nolan Smith, I think these are all three strong candidates. Ringo, I mean, I think Ringo, if he's there at 130, you just take him. You absolutely take him. If you can take 110, and if you can't trade up with 110, you can kind of trade back a little bit in the first, as well as have that 130. You could pick up Ringo plus another great guy in the first still, and you can pick up you can get another second round pick along with that, so you can have two seconds, and then add some more depth. There's a lot of things. There definitely it's a tough spot, but there's some flexibility. The problem with being at 110 is, outside of JSN dropping to 110, there really isn't much to dangle to the teams below you that are in need of something. So that's the problem with the 110 spot. It's either, I think they have a better chance of trading up than they do of trading down and getting appropriate value for the 110.
Yeah. I was saying to Mick earlier, I could see if for whatever reason Anderson fell to 6 or 7, if that happened, Or if Carter's there at 7 or 8 and they don't think that he's going to drop till 10, I think Howie makes the move. Sorry, Mick.
Yeah, no, I was going to say it's a good point that we make because we're looking at mock drafts and we're like, yeah, trade back. A team has to be willing to trade up,
Yeah.
So what are they trading up for? And I think Sari makes a very good point. It could be wide receiver 1 off the board if someone's going to come up for GSN to try and get him. Because I think there's quite, in my opinion, I think there's quite a big gap between GSN and Addison or who's the
Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnson.
Quentin Johnson, Zay Flowers. Yeah, I think JSN is head and shoulders above all of those.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the permutations that I could see on draft day, but a team has to absolutely love a guy to jump up, and that's a very good point. Is that makes?
I think I did experiment with the Chargers jumping up and taking JSN because Keenan Allen's getting up there. Mike Williams isn't, he's no poster child of being healthy. No. So I mean, that's the only real candidate I saw as far as JSN being the last top tier guy. The Chargers are the only team I see jumping up to make that kind of trade.
Interesting. Okay, then let's do this real quick then. Mick, I think I know who your person is going to be here. I'm not going to say who it is, but I'm going to write it down on my phone before I ask you the question. Is there one player on that top 30 list you don't want to see drafted by the Eagles? I'm going to send it to Phil, actually, so let me just send it to Phil first. Right, hang on.
This is great live TV.
Go. Phil, I've sent you what he's going to say. Mick, who on that board does he not want to see the Eagles? Do you not want to see?
Me? You want me to go?
Yeah, you. Yeah, you go.
Oh, sorry. I thought you wanted Phil to go.
No, I'm just the adjudicator.
I'm going to say Luke Van Ness, so...
he did.
That's exactly who I sent, yeah.
I've made it no secret that I don't rate him that highly. I think that there's better edge rushers on the board that will be there at 10 that I would take over Luke Van Ness, but I do have a great nickname for him, and if we do draft him, I will be 100% behind the guy, and I'll take the nickname, which is the Luke Ness Monster.
Oh, okay. Scottish connotations. I like that. Z, you got any thoughts on Van Ness?
It was Van Ness. It was the same exact guy before you guys even said anything. Van Ness was the guy I didn't want to see go. Please don't do that.
Yeah. Okay. Jesus, I really hope we're not doing a live mock. We're not doing a live draft, and we draft them at like 10, something crazy like that. That'll be
terrible. Mick gets his heart broken nearly every year, and I think that would absolutely break him.
I'm sure so many Eagles fans would just shut the TV off. They're like, that would be brutal.
I think they'd more likely throw it out the window being Eagles fans than shut it off. But